Hi, and welcome to Run Tall with Tim, the YouTube channel that's dedicated to all runners everywhere. I'm Tim, and I upload new running videos every single week. If you're new to the channel, I try to get new videos out on both Wednesday as well as Saturday, and it's 5 a.m. Standard Eastern Time. And if you want to save yourself a little time, I try to make that easy for you. If you open a description, there you're going to see I've laid out some chapters. Just click on the timestamp for the part of the video that you want to watch, and it'll take you right there. Today, we're taking a look at the Brooks Launch 8. Now, if you're a fan of the Launch series, I think you're really going to like this shoe. So we've got a lot to talk about. But first, let me just show you what it looks like to run in these shoes. And then when we come back together, we're going to take a much closer look at the Brooks Launch 8. Now, these are shoes that I wasn't expecting to be able to run in until sometime in mid-January. I pre-ordered these from Running Warehouse a couple of weeks ago, and I think the ship date at that point was January 7th. But they showed up at my doorstep yesterday, so I was pretty excited to get them early and put them on my feet and took them out for a run this morning. And I really enjoyed it, so I'm excited to talk to you more about that. But let's just start at the top with the cost of the shoes. Now, these cost just a little shy of $100 US. And you know what? I think that's a pretty good buy. I think these are actually a bargain. When you look at some of the cost of the other daily trainers that are out there that are, high quality, well-built shoes that you can put a lot of miles on, the price seems to be hovering right around that $130 mark. So at a little less than $100, I think these shoes are well worth it. So spoiler alert with that one. So let's take a look at the upper. And if you're a fan of the Launch series, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I think you're really going to like the changes that they've made if you've run in the 7 or some of the earlier versions. Now, they didn't make huge changes, but one of the changes that they did make was with the upper. So let's zoom in now and we'll take a close look at that. They moved away from a knit upper. They now have an air mesh upper. And a second ago, I said it was nice and cool out on my run today. Well, they certainly were. I wouldn't say that these are ultra breathable, but they do allow a lot of airflow. And now it was, in the 20s here, and that's Fahrenheit, so it's below freezing here in Michigan. And my feet felt cool. They weren't overly cold, putting forth that effort when you're out running. You tend to stay pretty warm for the most part. But they did feel cool and comfortable. So I really found that to be enjoyable. You can see it's got lots of perforations up in the toe box, as well as some along the outside of the shoe itself, outside of that upper. As we pan around toward the back, you can see that they have a plastic overlay with their Brooks logo on there. And then when we get back to the heel counter, you can see that they've got some structure there, and we'll talk about more of that in a minute. Let's look at the eyelet chain now. It's a standard eyelet chain. As we move our way up there, we can see that they do have some plastic overlays, and then there on the inside of the cage, they also have some reinforced material there as well. And they do include that extra eyelet in case you enjoy having a runner's knot. I don't typically run with a runner's knot unless I'm trying to use up some excess lace, like in the Hoka Rocket X, for example. But for the most part, I found these to be really comfortable. I did achieve a pretty solid lockdown feeling across that midfoot. It felt pretty comfortable. There was a little bit of stretch, as you would expect with any kind of air mesh upper material, but I felt like I could get it locked in pretty darn securely. Let's look at the tongue of the shoe. Now, this is not a gusseted tongue. It's pretty well padded, and it's long actually. But that felt comfortable. I didn't feel like sometimes if the tongue is a little bit too short, I can feel like those laces are almost cutting into my foot there a little bit. But this is well padded and goes kind of up along your foot a little bit further, and it felt comfortable. It felt really, really nice when I was out running. I didn't have any issues with that at all. So let's now take a look at the padding around the heel collar and tab of the shoe, and you can see that they have, a fair amount of padding there, plenty really to keep you comfortable when you're out running, both around the collar as well as the tab. And as we look at that tab, you'll notice that they have an Achilles heel flare there. I like that. That also felt very comfortable, and it creates a bit of a heel pocket for you to set in, and that just gives you a bit more of a lockdown feeling, as you snug that laces across your midfoot up and get your heel to set back in that heel counter area. That felt really comfortable. I enjoyed that feeling. Also, Brooks did not disappoint. They included a removable insole. I always appreciate that. And as we pan in and look at that insole, you can see that it's fairly thick, so it does add some cushion and comfort to your run experience. But now let's flip that insole over. And this is a bit unusual and much appreciated. In other insoles, you flip them over, they're just flat. I mean, there's nothing to them. Here, they've got what looks to be some cushion zones, and that adds to the comfort of the run as well. So I do appreciate having that removable insole. It's just so nice to be able to pull them out when your feet get wet. Clean them up, let them air dry, put them back in, and you're good to go. So let's take a look at the heel counter. And you can see that they have some structure here. And I always appreciate that just to give my heel a little bit more stability. So if you're looking for something like that, I would say that it's moderate. It's not overly done like you might find in a stability shoe. And they do have a stability version of the Launch 8, which is their GTS. But that's for a different time or a different review. I don't own that shoe at this point, but maybe we'll get it in the future and we'll do a comparison between those two. But they do have a stability version if you're interested in that. Let's take a look at the midsole. Now, true to form with Brooks, they've got that co-molded midsole material. They've got their BioMoGo foam that runs on the arch side of the shoe, which is a stiffer, really bouncy type of material, gives lots of energy return. And then they have their DNA material that runs on the outside of the shoe as well. Now, this is not their DNA loft material. You'll find that in the Brooks Ghost 13, for example, and I've been running quite a few miles in that shoe lately. But this is their DNA material, and I found it to be comfortable. Plenty of cushion. I didn't have any issues with that at all. And it kind of surprised me, to be honest. And it's because, it's not as tall a stack height as I'm used to in the heel. It's got 26 millimeters in the heel and 16 millimeters in the forefoot. So it's a 10 millimeter offset from the heel to the toe. And this shoe does feel like a Brooks shoe underfoot. So if you're used to running in a shoe like the Ghost or the Ghost 13, it has a very similar feel to it through my foot strike and gait cycle. very smooth, and I've been very impressed with Brooks and just how smooth my gait feels when I'm running. In the Brooks Ghost 13, my most recent 50-mile shoe review, I mentioned that it feels a lot like pedaling a bicycle, just how smooth it is. And I got that same sensation running in the Launch 8, so I appreciated that. And I was kind of curious of how that might compare to the Ghost. So much to my surprise and my delight, it feels very similar underfoot as that shoe does. Only it's considerably lighter. Now this shoe is it's lost a little weight from the Launch 7 version, and it comes in at 8.6 ounces for a men's size 9 on my scales, or 245 grams. So it is light. It's lighter. I wouldn't say that it's ultra light, because there are certainly some shoes that are out there that are lighter than this, but it feels good. And I think you going to be able to put a lot of miles on these shoes. That foam material it has done really well in other Brooks shoes that I've had, so I have no reason to doubt that it's going to go a long ways in these shoes as well. And then as we flip this shoe over, you're going to see that it has lots of blown rubber on that outsole to protect all of that cold molded foam that they have underfoot. So again, to give you lots of good durable miles. And I think this shoe will go, upwards around 500 miles, maybe more. And it's very snappy. It's a snappy ride. So, I was thinking about this when I was out running. And if I wanted to pair this shoe with another, for example, Brooks shoe like the Ghost 13, you could use that for a lot of your long distance daily training miles that you want to put underfoot, because it has that loft material in the Ghost that is just a little bit softer. It gives you a softer landing. But this shoe is faster, and it has a bit more energy return than the Ghost does. So you could easily pair it up with this shoe for, as part of your running shoe rotation for some of those days when you want to do some speed work. So maybe a progression run where you want to pick up the pace toward the end of your workout, or maybe a tempo day, or even a threshold day. And I think it's light enough that you possibly maybe could take this out on race day if you wanted to. If you didn't have another race shoe that you were leaning towards, I think you could do okay with this. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I sure enjoyed making it for you. If you did, maybe give it a thumbs up. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.